Greetings, YouTubers of the world. I am Arcanum Fantasy, and today I have a very interesting review. I know I say that a lot, but trust me when I say this one is a very special kind of mixed bag of both good and bad. The fanfic I speak of is Her Smile. As I mentioned in a previous video, this is a Luna-shy fic, and to be honest, it's actually kind of cute how it starts off. Essentially, Fluttershy has a bit of a crush on the moon, or rather the night sky, while Luna notices that Fluttershy is also extremely depressed. So, about while she's looking at the sky. Well, naturally, being the princess of the moon and the sky, or night sky anyway, this was a bit disconcerting for her. Especially seeing as this is the evening star celebration, sort of Luna's equivalent to the sunrise or sunset celebration, Celestia's thing, whatever it's called. Summer sun celebration. There we go. Sorry about that. Well, it turns out that, well, Fluttershy's love for the night sky kind of just spawned from an extremely traumatic incident when she was a filly. And I'm talking orphaned at a young age kind of bad traumatic incident as a filly, which is supposed to explain why she's so jumpy and shy, but I think it might have just been as a way to get Luna a little more interested in her. Anyway, Luna decides to bring Fluttershy into the castle and to share a room with her, but here's where things get a little bit weird. Fluttershy starts to, well, show interest in Luna, which isn't necessarily the weird part, as much as it's just poorly written. But I'll get to that in my issues of this thing and towards the end. As far as things go between Fluttershy and Luna, it starts off more as a kind of awkward sleepover. Not quite as bad as the sleepover that Twilight hosted with Applejack and Rarity. No, that's a special kind of bad that I'm grateful the writer managed to avoid in this one. Which means at least this writer is somewhat more competent than some of Hasbro's writers, but that's neither here nor there. In regards to this sleepover, it starts off mostly with a game of Truth or Dare, where Luna is mostly playing counselor to Fluttershy, trying to help her get over her issues, or at least helping her talk about it. And I'll be honest, this scene really, really touched me. I mean, we got Luna here, who is often considered not just in the fandom, but also in the main canon as one of the most tortured characters. And, well, maybe next to her own sister, Celestia. And, well, she wants to help out another pony in a more direct route than she's been doing with the CMC, as far as we've seen anyway. In fact, Luna actually shows interest in Fluttershy as well, and is pretty much desperate to figure out whether or not Fluttershy likes her in return. To a degree, I think the writer might have been trying to imply that since the moment they met, Luna and Fluttershy have had some feelings for each other, but that's more speculation than anything else. Eventually, this little game of truth or dare gets called short when Fluttershy's nerves cause her to pass out from one of Luna's own dares. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but as a Luna fan, I can guarantee you that the reaction, it's probably universal for people like me, or ponies like me. Now, in regards to what comes up next, is where this fic kind of takes a tailspin. Luna and Fluttershy wake up. They, things get kind of hot and heavy off screen, so to speak. Luna heads off to talk to Celestia. Fluttershy heads off to take care of her animals. And Luna completely loses it. See, the writer tries to explain this by saying that Luna is out of touch with the modern day and age of how ponies interact. But that's not necessarily true. Or at least a rather poor excuse for what happens next. Essentially, Luna slips into her bipolar disorder and allows Nightmare Moon to take over. Nightmare Moon decides to go after Fluttershy and originally intends to end her, but instead starts to take an interest in her. Not exactly in the same way as Luna, but a curiosity to say the least. To sort of decide whether or not to kill Fluttershy, Nightmare Moon decides to talk to her. At least to see how things are going with her, and how serious she is about Luna. Well, the ending, I'll say, is actually probably the biggest saving grace of this fic. It's both pretty, sad, and very, very heartwarming. To the point where it almost brought tears to my eyes. And now we come to the issues. The first major issue I have here is the pacing. This thing kind of tries to rush the romance concept a little too much. Personally, I feel that there should have been more time spent with Luna and Fluttershy. Like, maybe Luna spent time with Fluttershy prior to the Evening Star celebration, or maybe even spent some time with her afterwards. But the major issue I have in regards to pacing is how Luna suddenly snapped and turned into Nightmare Moon just because Fluttershy left without leaving a note. Because, and this is more of a continuity issue within the fic itself, if Luna has issues with, say, how things are going in this day and age, then I doubt she would be familiar with the prospect of, I don't know, a hit it and quit it technique. But, well, that's just that's more of a nitpick on my part. Also, there are a couple spelling errors, well, technically not so much spelling as there are grammar errors, like using the wrong kind of to and all kinds of stuff like that. They're almost ignorable, but, well, not too many times. This leads me to believe that the writer focused a lot on using spell check when they were doing their work without checking what spell check did to their work afterwards. Which isn't necessarily who am I kidding? It's a really bad thing to do. It's also a very rookie mistake, but seeing as this is aimed mostly through fan fiction, I suppose there could be some room for leeway. Let's see, what else? Yes. The major issue I have also is, again, something similar to the pacing here. It's just Luna is not acting within character. Yes, this is a major issue a lot of writers have to deal with when they're doing fan fiction. Their characters, or at least their version of the character, has to be somewhat in main canon character. For the most part, towards the first 2/3 of this fic, Luna is fully in character, which is really tricky when you consider the fact that Luna hasn't had exactly a lot of screen time, and for the most part we just know her as being displaced by time. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we can get away with making her all kinds of crazy, or at least extremely panicky. I mean, heck, Luna is the opposite of Celestia. Celestia is more kind and gentle and warm, while Luna can be somewhat standoffish and cold, but is also fairly more social. As far as other things go here, I highly doubt Luna would just completely break down like that when she's only been with someone for one night. I mean, it's just wow. Just wow. I will give props to the writer for making Nightmare Moon more of a self-defense mechanism for Luna than anything else. It's definitely a step up from everyone who keeps making it seem like Nightmare Moon is just like a schizophrenic part of Luna. But unfortunately, that's all I can really give it. So, in regards to the rating for this fanfic, I can only give it a 5 out of 10. Dead center, because on one hand, it's got a really good idea going for it, and the characters are technically staying cohesive with the story, but at the same time, a large chunk of the second to last act of this fic is just completely it's just completely messy. Well, that's all I have to say about this fic. Though I also will say it's although I'll also say it's one I would highly recommend. So, like, comment, subscribe, and if you're feeling particularly generous, stop by my Patreon account and leave a small donation. After all, every little bit helps. And the link to that said account is down below in the description. Also, don't be afraid to leave some sort of requests. I can do pretty much any kind of request you got. Whether it be fanfics from Ruby, My Little Pony, Care Bears, Samurai Jack, whatever. Just as long as the fanfic in question is complete and, well, viewable on the open net. I mean, I'm talking about non-private videos, or not videos, fan fictions. Although if you really want me to review a fanfic, even if it is incomplete or on hiatus, to those who submit to my Patreon account, I will enter your name into a raffle and let you know that that I'll review any kind of fan fiction that you request, regardless of whether it's complete or incomplete.